Hey guys, I know this is a day late. I think this is the first video in this series that I've been a day late. I've been always posting them on Sunday. This video is going to be posted on Monday. The Dead Man mode tourney just got over and the new seasonal started, and I started playing that mostly just to get my total up so that I can qualify for the next tournament. I don't really plan on playing it any further than that. And when I play the tournament, I'm probably just going to try and do something like maybe go for the first AGS, or just do something that I can get some money that I can swap over to old school with, if that's allowed in the tournament. Right now during the seasonal it's not allowed, but I think it probably will be allowed in the tourney. We'll see. But anyway, while I was getting my total up, I actually got to the front page. So then I wanted to get rank 1 because I'm not sure if I've ever been rank 1 overall on any of the high scores on old school. I've been front page. Even for old school itself, when it first came out, I did get to the front page once, but I've never been rank 1 overall. So I wanted to get that, and I ended up getting it. So I held rank 1 overall on the seasonals for like most of Sunday. I stopped playing pretty early on Sunday, but I was ahead of everyone else, so I was able to hold the rank for a while. And then I had some other stuff I had to do on Sunday, so that's why this video is a little late. And as for this video, I did more than just the typical 1 week that I've been doing. The account is about done, and I have some other stuff that is coming up, finals and stuff here in another month. So I kind of want to get this account done and over with. So I'm probably going to be speeding up the series a little bit. And the days up in the upper left-hand corner, that corresponds more to the time that I've actually spent on the account, not necessarily the real-life days that I've spent on the account. So the first thing is I just started where we left off last week with cannoning Dagonoths over in the lighthouse. I did that until 70 range. It took me I used 31,000 cannonballs, and then the total loot that I got was worth about 2.35 mil. Cannonballs were about 5 mil, so I lost something like 2.7 mil on the cannonballs. I also did use some supersets and prayer potions, which costed a fair bit too, but it's not much more than if I was training at Nightmare Zone. I'd be using prayer potions there as well. And then I was alching at the same time. I did do a lot of black T-head bodies along with air battle staffs, so I ended up probably profiting like anywhere from 500k to 1 mil off those alks. So in the end, in total, I really did not lose that much, and it got me 70 range, almost 70 magic, and 60 attack, 60 strength, and 59 defense. And also the order, I didn't really go over this last week, but the order that I went in while training melee was 60 attack, then 60 strength, and then I started working on 65 defense for King's Ransom. Since we already have 70 prayer, we can use the new prayers as soon as we get that quest done and the defense level requirements. I forgot to buy an obby shield at 60 defense, but that is the best shield in the game at 60 defense if you don't have defenders. It offers plus 5 strength bonus, which is 3 higher than our Bandos book. So make sure once you are 60 defense, you swap out your boots for dragon boots and your shield for an obby shield. And the obby shield's actual name is like Tox Ketzil or something like that. And the GE, if you put in TOK, you'll probably see the shield. I'm returning to Tears of Guthix. I haven't done this in a while, but Slayer is my lowest skill right now, so it is worth it to do Tears of Guthix. And they also recently made a change to Tears of Guthix where the things don't change as often, so it's a lot easier to get pretty high points. So I actually ended up getting like close to 10k Slayer XP from spending just a couple minutes doing Tears of Guthix. And we're going to move on to a different place for our melee training. If you were purely just wanting to get your combat up, you wanted range up, you wanted melee up, you wanted magic up, and you had no plans to train Slayer, it would be efficient to just stay at Dagonoths and train up all 3 combat styles there. But because I'm not going to 99 on all skills on this account, 70 range is all I need, I'm going to be switching over to Nightmare Zone. I could have actually switched a little bit earlier because I'm going to be using a cannon for Slayer, so I'm going to be getting some more I'm going to be getting more range experience while doing Slayer. And so starting out, we're going to have pretty much 0 points. I got a little bit earlier on for one of the diary tasks, but pretty close to 0 right now. So how I started off getting points is I would do the endurance on hard. That way you're only fighting 1 boss at a time, and you start off with some pretty easy ones, so you can rack up like 20,000 points pretty easily. And I'd say once you can afford to buy like 4 doses of overload and then like 10 doses of the absorption potions, which should be something around 20,000 points, then I'd recommend changing over to doing customizable rumbles on hard. I'll put a link down in the description for a guide for Nightmare Zone, but it's really simple. You just speak to it's over in Yanil to the northeast. You speak to the Dominion guy, you set up which type of dream or thing that you're going to do, and then when you get to the customizable rumble on hard, when you click to drink the potion, Make sure you have overloads in your inventory and the absorption potions and then prayer potions. And the setup I would recommend for now is basically what you see me using in these clips, which is Prosy Plate, Prosy Legs, Helm of Nezi, Dragon Scimitar, an Obby Shield instead of the prayer book, Dragon Boots, a Fire Cape or a God Cloak, Berserker Ring, Barrow's Gloves. The bosses that you want to pick for the Rumble, you should pick Ice Troll, King Rold, Dad, Arg, and the Moss Giant. The reason why you want to pick those is because all of them besides King Rold have an XP multiplier for some reason. So you'll actually get a little bonus XP when fighting those. And they're all pretty low defense as well. Those are supposedly the best ones. Sometimes I switch out Dad for a Tree Spirit. And the reason for that is because Dad knocks you back. So if you're not constantly paying attention, you may be losing hits, which will lower your XP per hour quite a bit. You want to use your best melee prayers. So before you get to 65 defense, you're going to be using the plus 15% strength and plus 15% attack. And once you hit 65 defense, you're going to leave Nightmare Zone and we're going to head over and do King's Ransom. King's Ransom is pretty quick. It usually takes like 10 to 15 minutes. And King's Ransom, it will give you a pretty big chunk of XP as a reward and an XP lamp. I put that on Slayer. And it unlocks the ability to do the Knight's Training Ground, which is what I would recommend to go and do next. I'll put a link to both of those, the quest and the Knight's Training Ground, down in the description. When you complete the Knight's Training Ground, you unlock the ability to use Piety and Chivalry. Chivalry requires 65 defense and 60 prayer. Piety requires 70 prayer and 70 defense. So after that's done, I headed back over to Nightmare Zone and just continued doing what I was doing before. I continued training defense up to 70 so that I could use Piety. Then I switched over to Strength and got that to 65, and then switched to Attack and got that to 65 as well. Once you hit 130 Attack and Strength combined, which is 65 in both, then you can head over to the Warriors Guild where you can get Defenders. Also, when you hit 650k points in Nightmare Zone, you can imbue your Berserker Ring so that it gives plus 8 strength instead of plus 4. So over at the Warriors Guild, how you get tokens is there's a few different activities in a few different rooms. The one I'd recommend is to just kill the armors. So you need some sort of helm, plate body, and plate legs. They all have to be of the same type. So if you have an Addy plate body, you need an Addy plate legs and an Addy full helm. When I'm low combat stats, I usually just go with black armor, because it has pretty low defense and low HP and it still gives a fair amount of tokens. You have a chance of losing a piece of armor. The lower tier the armor is, the higher the chance. I think I've only lost a black full helm once or twice ever, and I've always used it, so black has a pretty low chance of losing an item. And as far as anything higher than black, I'm not sure if I've ever heard of anyone losing a piece, even though I'm pretty sure it's possible. And so what you use those tokens for is you go up to the very top of the tower, the Warriors Guild, and there's going to be Cyclopses, and in order to get into the room to fight the Cyclopses, you have to have tokens. Minimum is 100, and 10 tokens equals 1 minute inside the room to fight Cyclopses. And the Cyclopses drop Defenders. They drop at 1 in 50. And you have to start out at bronze, then you get iron, then you get steel, and so on up until you get to rune. Once you hit rune, then you actually go downstairs near the bank, and then you go outside to the west, and there's a little trap door. You go down the trap door, and there is another room. Once again, it works just the same as the top floor, but the Cyclopses here are a little bit higher level, and they drop Dragon Defenders. And you have to have a Rune Defender in order to get into the basement. When you get a defender, make sure you leave the room and then go back in so that it updates which defender that you're on. If you stay in the room, you'll just get the same defender again. And so I ended up on like Mithril or Addy Defender or something like that at the end of the 2 weeks that I put in for this past week. So next week, I'm going to be continuing on the defender grind and then probably moving on to Slayer. We'll see, but that is it for this video. So thank you all for watching and see you in the next video.